welcome to my new lecture. This lecture is about continuous probability distributions. This is chapter 6 of the book Probability and Statistics for Engineers and Scientists by Walpole. However, you can find similar topics in different chapters of different books. We will be looking at the continuous uniform distribution first, then a very prominent distribution, that is normal distribution and exponential distribution. All these are continuous distribution because the random variable in these cases are continuous. So the distribution, probability distribution, will also be continuous. Previously we have looked at discrete random variables and discrete probability distribution. There are some other continuous distribution as well, like gamma distribution is important, like log normal distribution, like Weibull distribution. However, these are beyond the scope of this particular course or this particular lecture, so we will be concentrating on these different continuous probability distribution. So first of all, let's look at continuous uniform distribution. Before going into the continuous uniform distribution, there is a discrete uniform distribution as well, as we have seen in previous videos. In that the random variable has finite outcomes and each of them has the same probability, like that of a die rolling, because you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as outcomes and all have the same probability 1 by 6. So that is a discrete uniform distribution. Let's say if I can write it down like this is my random variable, this is its distribution. So the outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and all have this same probability, that is 1 by 6. So this is a discrete uniform distribution. However, when you look at a continuous uniform distribution, this is also known as a rectangular distribution. You have the same probability in an interval, let's say a to b, right? This is my random variable x and this is f of x. So this is like a rectangular distribution, and you have an interval a to b. Now looking at one of the axioms of the probability, that the area under the curve or integration of whole of this distribution should be equal to 1. Now if I look at its area, that should be length into width. The length is b minus a, as you can see. So its height should be 1 over b minus a, and or if I could write it down as 1 over b minus a. So its height should be 1 over b minus a, just to make this area under this uniform distribution curve to be equal to 1. Now let's formally look at the definition of continuous uniform distribution. Formally, the density function, of the continuous uniform random variable x, right, on the interval AB is given as f of x AB interval 1 over b minus a, just as I mentioned above graphically, when the x is between a and b and 0, otherwise. OW means otherwise. This is the definition of continuous uniform distribution. The mean of the continuous uniform distribution, as we saw in discrete random variables as well, these quantities is given by the addition of the interval over 2, and variance sigma square is given as b minus a whole square over 12. This is the mean and the variance of the continuous uniform random variable, and these are found out using the general formulas of the mean and variance, where the general formula for a continuous random variable to find out the mean is expected value of x is minus infinity to plus infinity x into f of x dx, and sigma square is e x minus mu whole square is minus infinity to plus infinity x minus mu square f of x into d of x, right? These are the general formulas for finding out the mean and variance. However, using these formulas, it has been calculated for you. You can use these formulas when the distribution is uniform distribution. Now moving onward, let's look at the most important distribution, one can say, as normal distribution. This is also known as a Gaussian distribution. It has a bell-shaped, right? It's a bell-shaped distribution like this, right? It's bell-shaped. This is x and this is f of x, and different distributions basically with some criteria basically end up in normal distribution. So it's important to know this distribution where this point is known as the mean, and this is like the standard deviation, or when you take it on both sides it would become variance. So there are two things associated with the normal distribution, that is mu, and the standard deviation is sigma, and the variance would be sigma square. So as I told, this is very important distribution, and there the properties related with it are that first point is mode is, you know mode, what is mode, is the maximum value is at x is equals to mu, means mean and mode are same, right? Second point is when you look at this, the curve is symmetric about mean, right? Curve is symmetric about this mean or mu, right? That is a vertical axis, and curve has, normal curve has points of inflection at x is equals to mu plus minus sigma. This is concave downward, and if x is greater than mu minus sigma, less than mu plus sigma, and if these conditions hold, then it is concave downward, otherwise it's concave upward, right? And normal curve reaches horizontal axis asymptotically, right? Asymptotically means that a curve when doesn't touch the horizontal axis, rather it decays down and travels along with it. One can say that it touches this horizontal axis at infinity, so that's why it moves along the horizontal axis asymptotically. And the last one is total area under a normal curve is 1, right? Like the definition of all other the distribution. So now let's look at formally what is the normal distribution. The density function of the normal random variable x with mean mu and variance sigma square is, how one can define it, is n of x, mu is mean and sigma is standard deviation, is 1 over 2 pi under root times sigma e raised to power minus x minus mu whole square over 2 sigma square. This is my definition of the normal distribution with mean mu and variance sigma square, right? There is a particular normal distribution that is with mean 0 and variance 1 is called standard normal distribution. A normal distribution, that is a particular type of normal distribution with mean 0 and variance 1 is standard normal distribution. So whenever you are given a standard normal distribution, you should know that it has got the mean 0 and variance 1, right? That is a standard normal distribution, which is a particular type of normal distribution. Normal distribution has got numerous applications in the fields of physical measurements, meteorological experiments, rainfall studies, measurements of manufactured parts, right? In addition, it can also be useful in finding errors in scientific measurements, right? So it has got a lot of applications. There is one very smart adjustment that you can make to your normal random variable x with mean mu and standard deviation sigma, that you can basically form a new random variable, that is z, which would be x minus mu over sigma. That can be very helpful in solving different normal distribution problems, right? So in this case x would be equals to sigma z plus mu, right? By making this small adjustment, by transforming this random variable x into z, becomes very helpful. And there is a table at the end of this book which is related with different values of the z. And suppose this is how to make use of this table. Let's see. This is, let's say, a normal distribution, right? And I am interested in, let's say, finding this value which is k. So I would be looking at probability of z less than k1. So this is given, right? You just have to make this z x minus mu over sigma, and z less than k1 you can find it out from the table. Similarly, if it is between an interval, जैसे कि ये k1 और k2 है, तो मैं एक्चुअली इस शेडेड रीजन में इंटरेस्टेड हूँ. तो अगर मुझे प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ z ग्रेटर देन k1 लेस देन k2 निकालनी है, तो दैट शुड बी इक्वल्स टू प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ z लेस देन k2 माइनस प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ z लेस देन k1. तो इस तरह से फाइंड आउट की जा सकती है. अगर आप देखें तो ये मैं z लेस देन k2 जब लूँगा तो ये सारा एरिया बीच में इंक्लूड हो जाएगा, ये वाला भी. ठीक है, तो मुझे ये इंटरवल चाहिए, तो मैं फिर z लेस देन जब k1 लूँगा तो ये सारा बीच में से एरिया सब्ट्रैक्ट हो जाएगा. तो इस तरह से मेरे पास सिर्फ इस शेडेड एरिया की जो है वो प्रोबेबिलिटी निकल सकती है. लेटर ऑन वी वुड बी लुकिंग एट डिफरेंट न्यूमेरिकल जस्ट टू फाइंड इट आउट, राइट? सो दिस इज़ अ वेरी स्मार्ट एडजस्टमेंट. By transforming this random variable, you can solve the solution of this normal distribution becomes easier. Now let's look at the normal approximation to the binomial distribution. We know that in binomial distribution there are two outcomes, right? So a binomial random variable x with mean that is mu is equals to np and variance sigma square is equals to npq. You can approximate it like probability of x less than equals to x is equals to summation k from 0 to x, right? b of x n and p, right? You can approximate your normal random variable with a binomial distribution when such a scenario exists that mu is equals to np and sigma square is npq. Then you can find it out, and the z could be z in such a case is equals to x minus np over variance is npq under root. As you see, this relates with z is equals to x minus mu over sigma, right? For the case of a binomial approximation of this normal distribution, it would be replaced by x minus np over npq under root, which is the variance, right? However, this approximation is valid when you have a large number of trials, say n is very large and p is very small, and one can say that this holds good if this mu or np is nearly 5, right? Greater than equal to 5. This approximation holds good. Now let's proceed further with another very important distribution, that is an exponential distribution. Exponential distribution. This is also like a Poisson distribution. It's a memoryless distribution. By memoryless, we mean that if we are interested, if we know that a component, let's say if we are looking at its failure, if a component is working at some particular time, then it has nothing to do with the probability that it will be working not working at another time. So this is like a memoryless distribution, and it has a very strong relationship with Poisson distribution as well. The continuous random variable, the continuous random variable x has an exponential distribution with parameter beta, right? And its density function is given as f of x beta is 1 over beta e raised to power minus x over beta, right? And the mean and the variance of this exponential distribution is given by mu is beta and sigma square is beta square. So if I know the mean, then it would be f of x mu as 1 over mu e raised to power minus x over mu. This would be my exponential distribution, and keep in mind that it's a memoryless distribution, right? So as I told earlier, that Poisson distribution is very much related with exponential distribution. In Poisson distribution, you have random variable which represents the density function or the probability of a random variable in a certain interval of time or in a certain region of space. So and the mean for that Poisson distribution, the mean is mu. If we look at it, then that is for Poisson distribution, it is given as this distribution. The distribution is lambda e raised to power minus lambda x. So while comparing it, we can say that the lambda is equals to 1 over beta. So this is the relationship between the Poisson distribution and the exponential distribution. And beta is mean time, you can say, if it is given as between failures, right? In the case of when you are looking at the testing of an equipment. तो ये डिफरेंट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशंस हैं जिनको मैं समराइज़ करने जा रहा हूँ. पहले जो है हमने सबसे पहले यूनिफॉर्म डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन को देखा है, जिसमें एक इंटरवल के अंदर अगर एक जो है रैंडम वेरिएबल यूनिफॉर्म है, मीन्स कि उसकी प्रोबेबिलिटी सेम है, तो उसको हम कंटिन्यूस यूनिफॉर्म डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कहते हैं। और बाय डेफिनेशन ये कंटिन्यूस यूनिफॉर्म डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है और उसका मैंने मीन और आपको वेरिएंस निकालना बताया है। अगर हम जनरल फार्मूला देखें मीन और वेरिएंस का तो हम इस तरह से निकाल सकते हैं, लेकिन ये आपको जो ऑलरेडी इन्हीं फार्मूलाज को यूज़ करके आपको निकाल के बताया गया है। नेक्स्ट अगर हम देखें तो नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन बेसिकली गॉसियन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन भी कहलाती है। इसमें बेल शेप्ड कर्व होती है, सही है, और ये मीन के गिर्द सिमेट्रिक होती है। और बाय डेफिनेशन अगर हम देखें तो जो नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है विद मीन म्यू एंड स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन सिग्मा, इस तरह से वो गिवन है आपके पास, राइट। और इसी की एक पर्टिकुलर टाइप है जिसे स्टैंडर्ड नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कहते हैं, जिसमें मीन 0 होता है और वेरिएंस 1 होती है। अगर वेरिएंस 1 है तो स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन भी ऑटोमेटिकली 1 होगी। एक और हम ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन जो कि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है वो कर सकते हैं कि हम x से z में ले जाएं अपने रैंडम वेरिएबल को। तो z क्या होगा, x माइनस म्यू ओवर सिग्मा। तो x को अगर हम वापस रिट्रीव करना चाहते हैं दैट वुड बी सिग्मा z प्लस म्यू। अब हमने कैसे z को कैसे देखना है टेबल से, या हम कैसे इसे नॉर्मल कर्व पे रिलेट कर सकते हैं। अगर लेट्स से मेरे पास ये अगर k1 एक पॉइंट है, इससे पीछे तमाम प्रोबेबिलिटीज मैं निकालना चाहता हूँ, दैट वुड बी z लेस देन k1। और अगर किसी इंटरवल के अंदर आप देखना चाहते हैं तो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा, z लेस देन k2, जिसमें ये सारी फिर ये भी सारी शामिल हो जाएंगी। तो इसको निकालने के लिए मैं क्या ले लूँगा, माइनस कर दूंगा प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ z लेस देन k1। तो आप इस तरह से निकाल सकते हैं। उसके बाद अगर हम देखें तो नॉर्मल अप्रॉक्सीमेशन टू बाइनॉमियल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, अगर हमें पता है बाइनॉमियल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में म्यू NP है, सिग्मा स्क्वायर NPQ है, और अगर n लार्ज हो p स्मॉल हो सच दैट के मीन उसका ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू 5 है, तो आप ये जो है अप्रॉक्सीमेशन यूज़ कर सकते हैं जो कि नॉर्मल अप्रॉक्सीमेशन होगी टू दी बाइनॉमियल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन। उसके बाद हमने एक और डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन देखी जिसे एक्सपोनेंशियल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन विच इज़ ए मेमोरी लेस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन। मेमोरी लेस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का मतलब ये होता है कि एक इंटरवल के अंदर अगर एक कंपोनेंट सही परफॉर्म कर रहा है तो अगले उस इंटरवल के अंदर उसका कोई इफेक्ट नहीं आएगा। दिस इज़ लाइक ए मेमोरी लेस सिस्टम, राइट। तो अगर मेरे पास कोई बीटा पैरामीटर है x है, तो ये मैं एक्सपोनेंशियल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन को इस तरह से लिखूंगा, इसका मीन और वेरिएंस दिया हुआ है, और फिर इसको पॉसॉन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन से रिलेट किया हुआ है जो कि किसी टाइम इंटरवल या किसी जो है रीजन के अंदर प्रोबेबिलिटी जो है वो बताता है, ठीक है। तो अब हम इनसे रिलेटेड डिफरेंट न्यूमेरिकल्स देखेंगे ताकि ये कंसेप्ट जो है आपके माइंड में मज़ीद जो है वो बेहतर हो सके। Now let's look at our first numerical. The loaves of rye bread distributed to a local store by a bakery have an average length of 30 centimeter. So the mu is given as 30, right? And a standard deviation of 2 centimeter, and sigma, which is standard deviation, is given as 2. Assuming that the lengths are normally distributed, what percentage of the loaves are longer than 31.7 centimeter? So if I look at this numerical and I have to find this, basically this is normal distributed and probability of x greater than 31.7. So अगर मैं इसे सॉल्व करूं बाय द मेथड्स दैट वी नो बिफोर, के इसे मैं 31.7 से इन्फिनिटी तक इंटीग्रेट कर दूं लाइक दिस। अगर मुझे इस इंटरवल के अंदर चाहिए तो 30 मींस के 31.7 से इन्फिनिटी तक मैं इसको 1/2 पाई सिग्मा इज़ 2 e raised to power minus x minus mu is 30/2 into sigma square would be 4. तो इसको इंटीग्रेट करना बहुत मुश्किल होगा, राइट। इट वुड बी रियली वेरी टफ टू सॉल्व दिस वन आउट। सो दिस वुड बी ए वेरी डिफिकल्ट टास्क. सो इंस्टेड if I am looking at this one, one thing I can do is to probability of x. Even if I go with, let's say, making it as x greater than 3.17, 31.7, sorry, just probability of x greater than 31.7 would be 1 minus probability of x less than equals to 31.7. So once again I have to integrate this whole thing from 0 to 31.7. That makes it tough, right? Instead I can do it by transforming this x random variable into z random variable. Let's see how. Probability of x greater than 31.7 would be 1 minus probability of x less than equals to 31.7. It would be equals to 1 minus probability of z less than equals to x is let's say x is 31.7 minus mu is 30 and sigma is 2. So it would be 1 minus probability of z less than 1.7 over 2, right? This would be 1 minus you can use the calculator and use the table that is given at the end of this book to solve it out, right? And the table gives you the value for this z, and you can put it over here and get the result. Similarly, in the part 2 we are interested in probability of x greater than equals to 29.3 and less than equals to 33.5. Now I would also convert this into let's say z1 would be x1 is 29.3 minus 30 over 2 and z2 would become 33.5 minus this is 30 over 2. So when you calculate this z1 z2 it would become probability of z greater than z1 and less than z2, which should be equals to probability of z2 minus it should be probability of z less than z1 z2 minus probability of z less than z1. When you calculate these values z1 and z2 from here and put it over here and then see it from the table, then you can get the result easily. And the third one is shorter than 25.5 centimeter probability of x less than 25.5 centimeter would be probability of z less than 25.5 minus 30 over 2, that would be probability of z less than this is I believe minus 4.5 over 2. This should be equals to probability of z less than minus 2.25. So you can use the table to find out this value. Now the second numerical is a process yields 10% defective items. If 100 items are randomly selected from the process, what is the probability that the number of defective exceeds 13 is less than 8? So if you look at this question, this looks like a binomial distribution, right? When you have a defective and non-defective items, and the probability of the item being defective is 10%, which is zero point 0.1, and you have n, which is 100. So if you look at this, np mu is equal to np, this 100 into 0.1 would be like 10, so it is greater than 5. It means you can approximate this normal random variable with a binomial random variable, and you want to find out the number of defected to exceed x greater than 13. In part A, probability of x greater than 13 should be equals to 1 minus probability of x less than equals to 13. So this should be equals to 1 minus x from 0 to 13, b of x, n and p, which is 1 minus summation x from 0 to 13, b of x, n is 100 in this case, and p is 0.1 in this case. You can solve it either with the help of the table, binomial distribution table, or you have to solve it one by one by putting these values and getting the results. You can find it out. The next one, the part B, is probability that the defectives are less than 8. It should be summation x from 0 to 8, b of x, n is 100 and p is 0.1. So you can solve this by taking the binomial approximation of the normal distribution. In numerical 3, suppose that a study of a certain computer system reveals that response time in seconds has an exponential distribution with mean of 3 seconds. So the mu is given as 3 seconds, right? What is the probability that lifetime exceeds 5 seconds? So we have to find this probability of x greater than 5. Since it's a continuous distribution, so I can also write it down as 1 minus probability of x less than equals to 5. So this would be 1 minus, you can calculate it with from 0 to 5. F of x is 1 over mu, which is 3 e raised to power minus x by 3 dx, right? You just have to integrate this one and put the limits of integration over here, and you will get the result of the probability of that the lifetime exceeds 5 seconds. However, if I am able to 1 minus 1 by 3, and this would be e raised to power minus x by 3 over this minus 1 by 3, and 0 to 5, 3 would be, and you can solve it out and you will get the result for this one.